Hi and welcome back everybody. We're going to do another sewing video. Now, as most of you know, I don't sew. I do crafting and decorating. But one of my very first videos that was pretty successful was all about keeping the original hem on jeans when you are having to shorten them. Who wants your jeans to look like this with a hem in them? They just don't look right. I'm going to hem the jeans using the original hem, but this time I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to actually be cutting the hem off, shortening the pants, and then we will reattach the hem. So what we're going to need is some tailor's chalk or something to be able to mark the measurements for your pants. We're going to need a ruler of some sort, some matching thread, as close to the color of the jeans as you can. We're going to need a sewing machine, of course. And I'm also going to have a pair of jeans that are the correct length so I can use those as my template. So I'm going to gather all my supplies and I'll be right back. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to line up the pants crotch to crotch, exactly crotch to crotch. And I'm going to straighten the leg out, making sure there's no fabric bunched up inside. And then I'm going to take my tailor's chalk and I did have my husband try these on. These are exactly where he wants them, the new pair to be as far as length goes. So I'm going to transfer that same measurement to the other pant leg, and then we'll get our other measurements. I'm going to take my chalk and my ruler and run across this so I have a full line. So I've got my line here. And I've got my line here. So now I've marked my measurement as to how far up this needs to go. Okay, so I've marked all four sides. Okay. I used the white chalk and then I was trying to use the blue because it seemed like the white wasn't showing up as much, but then I ended up not liking it. We want to mark the pant leg and the piece that we're taking off so that we make sure we get the same one back on the same leg. And for that, we can just do just like an X or something so that we don't end up attaching the wrong piece back on the wrong leg. It won't look right and it'll hang funny. So now that we have all this done, we need to make some other measurements as well. Now that I've got the marks here where the finished hem is actually going to be, because we're going to be cutting off and reattaching the fabric, I need to take into consideration the width of the hem itself. So this one here, I'm going to go right to here, is a 1/2 inch. So I took my line here and then I measured up a 1/2 inch and I've marked that all the way around as well. The other thing I'm going to do, and this was a really good tip that I got from this last video I watched, was to make sure that we ended up with the seam, the length that we want it, is we're going to take from our finished edge here, which this is where the hem is going to be in the end, from here, and marked the ruler. We're using a 12 inch, so we're going to just go ahead and mark it at a 12 inch. And I marked this one as well. So when I'm done, I'm going to know that if I take this to the very edge where my hem is sitting, that it is the 12 inches and I did it right. Now, granted, I'm going to want to know whether I did it wrong prior to that, but this is a good place to know when you get finished. I guess this really works if you're more of a tailor and obviously your client isn't there. So now that we've got all of this done, what we need to do is cut our fabric off. So we're going to go ahead and get a good pair of scissors, and we'll do that now too. So now I have everything ready to go, and I'm going to take and cut the pants at the first mark. Okay. So now that we have those cut off, now what we need to do is encase this edge so that we don't end up with it fraying in the end. So I'm going to use my sewing machine on a zigzag stitch just so that we can get this end with a finished edge, and also this end. We're going to do something a little bit different with this. So come on over here. What we're going to do now is we're going to turn everything inside out. So let's get this done, and we'll put it over by the sewing machine. Now we're going to zigzag stitch across the edge of the pant leg to keep it from fraying. All right, so now I've got a nice zigzag stitch. You almost can't see it, which is perfect. That is encasing the edges. Now we're going to have a little bit of this because we're not using a serger. A serger would encase that whole thing and it would cut off any excess. Now, before I put my zigzag in here, I'm going to cut this back to about a 1/2 inch so that when we're done, we're going to be putting these two pieces together and we'll be able to line up our edges. So I'm going to cut to where I've got about a 1/2 inch all the way around. And I'm kind of eyeballing it. This way we don't have a bunch of excess when we're going to reattach. Okay, so now I'm going to do exactly what I did on the pant legs, and I'm going to just zigzag along this edge here. Walk it along your inseam because that is pretty thick. Walk it across this edge again. The thread matches so well you almost can't tell where you're at. Okay, so I've got this one done now. And really, you can't tell because the thread matches it so well. So that's going to keep that from fraying. I'm going to do the other one real quick, and then we'll start putting these back together. So I found the correlating pant leg. I've got my X and my X. And we're going to put these right sides together. And we're going to make sure that we have our inseam lined up really well. And I'm going to throw a pin in this. And then we'll line everything else up and we'll go ahead and sew it on. And then we just have a few more steps to go. The first thing we want to do is line up the inseam stitching. And as you can see here, we've got this on this side right here. We want to make sure that those line up. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to throw a pin in here, and then I'm going to do the other side as well. So we've got exactly where we line up, and I've got a pin in there as well. And then I'm just going to go around and pin in our seam allowance. Now, because we did a 1/2 inch on the pant side, we did a 1/2 inch on here, these should line up. If we turn this around, we should be able to see our chalk line. Gotta try and see it. Like right here. Okay, so the very edge of that is going to be just where we need it. So if we were to turn this over, we would see our chalk line exactly where the edge of that hem is. What I'm going to do now is about a medium length straight stitch, and I'm going to sew right to the right of the thread line there, the actual hem line. I don't want to really get it on the white. I want to get it as close as possible because we're going to do one more step after we get this on. Now turn the pants right side out, and we're going to do a top stitch. Just to the side of our white hem stitch here, where we join the two pieces together. This is going to help it lay down better. And this is the other reason that we needed our thread to be as close as possible to the color of the jeans. So we have one more step before we press. We are going to now sew right to the side of our inseam. That's going to help keep this from flapping down. But I also use fabric fuse tape. Now, I get this from Walmart, and I believe someone has told me before that you can buy it narrower. This is 5/8 of an inch wide, and I always end up having to cut it in half. But what I did was, and after a few washes, these will quit. If we had a serger, this would be absolutely beautiful inside. But what I do is take my tape, cut off just a short couple of inches, cut it in half. I spread the seam, I lay it in there, and then I take the top part of the tape off. And after I get all the way around, then I lay it all flat down. It'll also help keep this end up inside the jean. The first pair I ever did for myself that was part of the very first video, I ended up doing that simply because there was a dry cleaner who did a pair for me, and the hem piece inside was actually pretty wide, and I kept getting my boot caught in it. I found this by accident. This is permanent. And the jeans that I did it on, well, the two pairs of jeans I did it on, have not come apart in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to quick run the iron over this, and then I will show you the finished project. Now is the time to measure. And we're at our 12 inches, which means that we've done them correctly. Seeing this done in both different ways, neither one of them are very simple if you're not a sewer like I am not. But in the end, I think they turned out great. I do believe they call this like a European hem, but I think it turned out really awesome. They did turn out to be the same length like they should be. And they do match up with the 12 inches on the ruler that we had marked in the beginning. And I think it's just another alternative way to be able to hem your jeans, keep that original hem, and have them look pretty great. So this fuse tape is permanent. And I mean, it's permanent. It's very, very sticky to start with. I believe they do make it where it's press on, so you could actually lay that in there and iron it on. I have never had a problem with this. I just wish that I could find it in the narrower, a bit narrower, but it works great. I just kind of cut it in half, and all this little fuzzy fraying stuff that you get because you have done a zigzag stitch will quit fraying after a wash or two. I've not had any problems with that either. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's something that you'll try. Check out my other video on how to hem jeans and keep the original hem. In that video, we do not cut the hem off of the jeans to shorten them. We keep everything on and just go through the same process without any cutting, unless there's a lot to cut off. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure that you like and subscribe, ring the little bell, and you'll be able to see more videos that I make. Thanks for stopping in, everybody. So come on with me. We're going to have some fun.